Hello and welcome to week 5. It's hard to believe we've already come this far in the class, but I wanted to go over a few things with you to help you along your way as we move along through week 5. Just a reminder, each week begins on Sunday and then ends on Friday, so it is a quick week. But it's broken out into different tasks that you'll be doing. So this should look very similar to what you've been doing in earlier weeks. As we've started every week in the course, we start with the lecture. And the lecture serves a couple different purposes. It gives you information that you need to know on improving your writing at the academic level and preparing you for college classes here at the remainder of your time at Bryant and Stratton. And then also a refresher for all those lovely grammar skills. So this week's focus is on conclusion, clarity, and agreement. So there'll be 2 different sections in this lecture talking about different kinds of writing, specifically point of view, and then active versus passive voice. And then there are a couple grammar lessons on subject and verb agreement. Okay, so you always want to start your week with this lecture because it kind of sets everything up and gives you the information that you need. The nice thing about having everything embedded into the course is you can go back to this again and again. You can go back and read it again and be able to absorb that information. Anytime when you're preparing for a class and you're preparing to learn information that you're going to be able to use, it almost always is going to have to be read more than one time. So reading it 2-3 times is pretty standard for taking a class where you're trying to learn the information. The same goes for me too. Anytime I take a class or have to read something for information, it takes more than one time to go through it. For those of you who like to have something to download, there is a document. Of course, it doesn't have all of the interactive practice items that are in there that you're used to for the lecture, but this is a Word document that you can download, and if you have access to a printer, you can print that out. Sometimes people like doing both, have that printed out, take notes on it, but then going through the more interactive lecture. Okay, as we have every week in our 7.5 weeks together, we have a discussion. And this week is focused in on the conclusion. So we're getting to the point of writing your essay. This week, the rough draft of your essay is going to be due. And keep in mind that the final essay is going to be due in week 7. So each week we've been focused on one part of that. Last week you completed the outline, which taking that outline will help you write this rough draft. So, and part of the rough draft that you want to include is the conclusion, because you don't want to just like end the essay without any kind of a wrap up. And that is talked about a lot in the lecture, different ways to be able to do that. So for your initial post, I want you to look at a couple different things that you can talk about in your initial post. So when you go in here and create a thread, you click that create thread button. These are the things that you're going to be writing. So think about a conclusion that you already know about. There is a conclusion about a book that you have read. You can use a conclusion about a TV show or a conclusion about a movie that you've watched or read, something that you just already know about. And then, you can kind of just share a few little details. Think about, how, like if you were particularly moved by how a show ended, or even a movie ended. Sometimes it's a surprise ending. Sometimes it was a disappointing ending. So share a few sentences about a conclusion that you're already familiar with. And then you can explain to the class why you thought that ending was weak or strong. Or if it was, was it effective? Was it meaningful? There's lots of different ways that you can talk about the conclusion. So you want to add in a couple sentences about that. Or you can even say, well, it doesn't fit in, like this book that I read didn't fit in with the conclusion that we talked about up here in lecture 5. And then the last thing you're going to do with this initial post for week 5 is you're going to share whether you would recommend that they see that show or movie or if they would read the book. Okay, so it's a good idea to always post by Wednesday, so that way you have plenty of time to get those 3 days in. You have time to get your initial post in, and then you have time to go back in and respond to either anything that I've put in there or anything that your peers have put in there. All right, so grammar quiz number 2. This is similar to week 4, where there'll be some multiple choice and you have to pick the correct answer. And then there are also some short answer questions. So you need to make sure that you are using Firefox. That is the internet browser that works best with Blackboard, and particularly quizzes. And anytime a quiz has to have a written answer like this one, there's something about how those two work together. If you're using a different browser, sometimes it won't show you the place to write your answer. So you want to make sure that you're using Firefox and that you have read through the lecture first. And with any of these quizzes, if you take a grade and you do not like it, you can take it again. You can take it up to 2 times. All right? So then the last thing that we're doing for this week is your rough draft. Okay, and I already have this document pulled up. At least I think I do. Nope. Here it is. Here we go. So you want to read through this. So last week you worked on the outline, and that helped you organize how you're going to set up your essay. Okay, so you're going to have, there's really 5 different parts of an essay. Well, really kind of 3, but it's going to be 5 things that you're going to make sure that you have. So the first thing is the introductory paragraph. And these are the things that you want to make sure that you have in there. So you want to have the reader's attention. You want to give some broad details. And then, the very last sentence of the introduction is going to be the thesis statement. Okay? And then, so that's part number 1, your introduction. Part number 2, 3, and 4 are your 3 body paragraphs. So typically in your thesis, you're kind of talking about, you're going to outline what you're going to be talking about in the body paragraphs. Okay, so you're going to have the different details. Remember, you're going to have a paragraph that will cover 1 reason why a college degree will change your life. So somewhere in your thesis statement, you should have a college degree will change my life by A, B, and C. And then those 3 things are going to become your body paragraphs. What is that A thing that's going to change your life? Okay. And then the second thing that's going to change your life, that's going to be body paragraph number 2. And then the third thing that's going to change your life is going to be body paragraph number 3. And be sure to read through all of these things. We talked about paragraphs last week. But read through all these things. You need to make sure that's happening in those body paragraphs. And then the 5th part, which is the 5th paragraph, is the conclusion. And that's what we've talked about in this week's lecture. And just make sure that you have all of these details. This really kind of serves as a checklist for you. So I encourage you to start, you already have the outline done. You're putting this into paragraph forms now, where the outline was just kind of some notes and some sentences. So now you're putting everything together. I encourage you to kind of put it together first, just type it out, and then you are going to then you're going to have another chance at writing this. But once you get that in there, then, I encourage students just to write it and not worry so much about all of the details, whether they're right or wrong, but just get it on paper first. And then you can take a look once you've written all 5 paragraphs and some things that you might want to change. All right. So again, this is going to be a Word document. So you're going to want to open up Word. You can even go here to File. You're going to go to Open. Actually, I'm sorry. You're going to go to New. And you're going to go to a blank document. And this is going to be, oh, this is on my other screen. Let me just put this over here. You're going to start your new essay. So this will be the rough draft of the final essay. All right, So then you want to make sure that you go save as. You have a couple different choices here. You can save it to your OneDrive, or you can save it to your, if you have a computer that has a hard drive built in. So like here I have all different kinds of things that I would save that to. I would save it to, if I was going to save it directly to my computer, I would save it to Documents. And I would say Cornelli rough draft. And then I could say save. Likewise, you could also save it as in your OneDrive. It should look like this, and you can select that, and it's going to be the same thing. It takes a minute for it to get up. So this would go to the OneDrive, and then this, oh, I didn't even realize I spelled that wrong. So this would be saved that way. So there's two different ways you can save it. So then when I go to open that, so let's go back to that assignment. When I go back to open the assignment, this is where it's going to be submitted, final essay, rough draft. I'm going to click on that little down arrow. No, I'm not. I'm going to just click on this. And then it is going to, I'm going to go right to attach files, because I'm going to attach my document that I already started. Okay, since I saved it to my hard drive, I can go to Browse Local Files. I can go to Documents. I'm going to go to Documents if I can get to it. Since it's the last thing that I did, it's going to pull this up. So I would select that, and then I'm going to see it right here. I can see that rough draft right there. And I can see my misspelled word, but that's okay. And then I'm going to submit it. Okay, so I don't have, and I'm not going to write anything in the text or anything like that. If you want to write a comment, you can, but just focus in on getting this document attached. The other thing, if you want to do before you, it's on the assignment, but if you wanted to look at the rubric, this is also what I use to grade the rubric. This is what I use to grade your essay. So it'll be 40%, 40 points on content, 40 points on organization, and 20 points on grammar, punctuation, spelling, and mechanics. And then exceeds expectation. This means that everything is looking really good. And you can read through each of these different ones. Okay, so needs improvement. You know, there'll be some points taken off. There's something that's missing. There's a thesis that's missing. Body paragraphs are missing. Okay, so these are the different things. This is what I use, and I pull that up, and this is where you'll see your grade. Okay, so easy peasy. I'm looking forward to seeing each of you in class for week 5.